people. It's been a long time. I apologize. It's a lot of work to record stuff. It's almost like, what, a year and a half, 2 years? But I've been bringing in food to work, and my workmates have been insisting that I share how I make my stuff. So I'm back on here, especially since one very strong Puerto Rican chick from my job threatened me. So we're gonna leave that alone. So they wanted me to start with showing you how I make my version of beans, Puerto Rican beans. Very simple, very easy, and you know, you can either use dry beans, but of course you have to like soak these overnight, which I would do it on a Friday night or Saturday night. Friday night because I don't party. Or you can use canned beans. This is a can of what is this? Pink beans, and I'll show you everything else. Usually this is served with white rice, really good with white rice. But I make them so good that there are people who will remain nameless that they've actually just taken a bowl full and they'll eat it straight. So alright, let me show you everything else you need to make my version of Puerto Rican beans so you can have arroz y habichuelas. Alright, so this is what you're gonna need. A nice can of beans. Like I said, you know, you can do dry and it's the best, but we don't, you know, have time. So we're gonna go with a can of red beans. No, I'm sorry, these are pink beans. You can use red beans, you can use black beans, you can use, you know, pinto, almost any kind of beans. My mom uses red a lot, or kidney. She likes those. Fine. Here's some bacon. This is 3 strips of turkey bacon from a particular brand that makes it so good it may as well be like ham. You can use regular pork bacon. You can use, you know, cubes of ham. You can use turkey ham. If you do decide to add this meat into it, you want to be sure that you're careful with the amount of salt you're going to add afterward when you season it. Okay? Moving on, I'm pretty sure you remember this wonderful stuff I've taught you guys how to make. Recaito. You need this to make Puerto Rican style beans. Recaito. I thought I'd put up a video. It's cilantro, culantro, onions, peppers, garlic, all mixed together in a blender or food processor with some other stuff. Let's jump over here to my other board. This is a medium-sized onion. I'm going to use half of it. We have some celery seed, of course, salt and pepper, oregano. This is some paprika or paprika, I don't know how you pronounce it. A dash of turmeric. We're going to use garlic powder, onion powder. I'm also going to go here and use some achiote, which achiote is, annatto. Alright? We have 3 healthy pieces of garlic here, cloves of garlic. And we're going to go with an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I just opened it here. The tomato sauce, it's not going to be Italian style, right? You're going to get a brand that is Hispanic or Latino style because, you know, for the seasonings, I mean, if you want to use Italian style, knock yourself out. Hopefully there's not a conflict of flavor. I wanted to mention that usually sazon comes in these little packets, these foil packets that you get at the store. What I've learned is, I thought I said this before, I like to combine my own. That way I can control what I put into it and the amounts. And there's no like artificial color or preservatives, which these little foil packs of sazon from the store usually have. I mean, if that doesn't bother you, use one of these, but I'm not. I'm going to mix it myself. Alright, let's get started. Okay, the first thing I like to do is, if they're canned beans, I like to rinse them and rinse them and rinse them again, because to remove that excess salt and to freshen them up a little bit. So I'll put it through a couple of changes of water. I'll even at one point let it sit in this bowl, or if I don't have a bowl, another container of water, just to get some of that extra salt out. So I'm going to leave this here and work on cutting up my vegetables and the bacon. Okay, bacon You know, nothing glamorous. You're just gonna cut them up. If you like it that thick, you know, it'll shrink a little bit when you cook it. You can also cut those in half if you like. It all depends on how you know, the size you want them. And the thing about this turkey bacon, this particular brand of turkey bacon, I'm sure other brands too, they basically cook up like ham to the point where you can't tell a difference. Alright, so there's our 3 strips of turkey bacon. We're going to put them here off on the side. And he's going to wait for the vegetables. Here's my onion. This is half of that red onion. How thick or how thin to cut it is subjective. It's however you like it. You know, there's Puerto Rican, Dominican restaurants where you'll go and order rice and beans, you know, the beans on the side, and all the vegetables will be so thinly sliced that they melt within the, you know, the mixture. Kind of like The Godfather when they cut up garlic, you know, they use like a razor blade. I personally, when I make beans, I like to see the pieces of onion and garlic and all the seasonings floating around in the mixture. So I mean, it's really up to you how you decide to chop up your vegetables. Alright, so for my onion, I'm gonna have it about, ooh, them bad boys went to the floor. I'm gonna have it about like this. There's times I've done it thicker. Alright, for the purposes of this, we'll keep it at that thickness. Alright, here's my onion. Alright, next is the garlic. These 3 big bowls of garlic. I'm going to cut the stem off, smash it a little bit. That easily gets the skin off. Right? And what we're going to do is, again, it's up to you. I can crush it again and, you know, chop it up into a fine paste. But what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to make slices of it because, like I said, I like to have pieces of it within the gravy or the liquid part of the beans visible. So that's good. Another one. Oops, dropped my spoon. That was a spoon I was going to use for measuring out the seasonings. But that's fine. Same thing, I'm just going to do it. Now we can do the same thing with this last piece of garlic. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to handle it a little differently. Because garlic, depending on how you cut it up, you'll actually change the intensity of the flavor. So this one, I'm going to crush and turn into like a paste. There's your garlic paste, baby. You don't need to buy that jarred stuff. Alright? And I also forgot to mention to you, I put in bell pepper inside of my beans. I was looking for a green bell pepper, but I used it up yesterday. I used up my last one. So I just took, this is about less than half of a red pepper. About a quarter of a red pepper. No matter if you use red, green, yellow, bell pepper, you want to cut this white part out of it because that can be bitter before you cut it up. Right? You actually can flatten it, lay it out, and remove the bitter white parts as much as you can. That's actually more than enough. Okay. And same thing. It depends how thick how thin you want it. What I'll do is I'll cut it into strips and cut them further from there. So that's good. All right. All right. All right, so that's our vegetable. Of course, if you like more onion, put more onion. You like more garlic, knock yourself out. More pepper, knock yourself out. All right. So what we're gonna do with this, we're gonna get a nice saucepan. We're gonna put in olive oil. I forgot to mention olive oil. And we're gonna stir fry some of our sofrito, or I'm sorry, well, you can use sofrito. Your recaito, you're gonna stir fry it for a couple of seconds and then add in all this vegetable and the turkey bacon or ham. All right, so here's my saucepan. I'm gonna put in some olive oil. This is about, what is that? Like 2 teaspoons or so of olive oil. Put a little more, make it a tablespoon. Okay, and what we're gonna do is, I want to stir fry some delicious, where is it? Some of my sofrito, here it is. This delicious green stuff that I've taught you how to make before. I actually may re-record how I make it to make the instructions a little simpler. Okay, so what I want to do is very important. I want to stir fry this into here, but I want to add this before the oil gets super hot, because what will happen is if I wait too long, I'll burn off the flavor. So this is something I've learned with trial and error. I use 2 tablespoonfuls because I likes that flavor, son. All right. So the heat was on the bare minimum just to get it a little hot. But now I'm going to turn it up. You know, like, that's what, like medium low. All right, and I'm just going to stir fry. Probably not a good idea to use a metal spoon, but whatever. We're going to stir fry the sofrito a little bit. You know what? Let me be smart and get a wooden spoon. That'd be better, right? What's wrong with me? Alright. Alright, this is good. It's just a couple of seconds. Right? Now that it's nice and heated up, we're going to put in the vegetables and the ham, turkey ham. So I'm just going to reach over, put in my vegetables, ham, and right there you should get hit with a delicious smelling scent. Forget about it. Forget about it. Oh. Alright, I'm going to stir fry, let everything get nice and mixed. The flavors are going to fuse. Oh, I still have a bit more vegetable and ham left here. Make sure I put these in. Leaving these guys out, my bad. You can hear it's heating up. Alright. And you're basically gonna do this until, you know, you can wait until the onions get translucent. I use red onions, you use white onions, that's fine. I'm going to turn it down a smidgen. Oh, look, a piece of onion escaped my wrath. Get back in there. Alright. And this is going to be here, minute, not even. Just look at it. You know, if the onions look good to you, you can go to the next step. You know, some of this is subjective. It's like depending on how you like your vegetables. You know what I mean? Alright. So now I'm going to move on. This has been what, like a minute, minute and a half? The next thing is I'm going to add about a cupful of water. So let me go get my water. I'll be back. Alright, so here's my cupful of water. Yes, I'm a diva. I use spring water. I'm gonna pour it right in. Mix it up, just to get everything there mixed up. I'm gonna bring it to a boil, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna add another cup full of water. I didn't pay attention to the measurement here. Just get a bit more water. So that's gonna be about a cup and a half of water. All right. If you don't have a measuring cup, because I'm just trying to be fancy, you can use the can that the beans came in. No harm, no foul. All right, so that's about a cup and a half of water. I'm gonna mix it, and again, this is at, you know, kind of low medium. And when this comes up, well, you can see the olive oil, the sheen off of the olive oil. All right. So what we're gonna do is, when this comes to a boil, we're gonna add the tomato sauce. I'm gonna drop the camera here, and we're gonna mix it up again, stir it again. All right. So you see, it's starting to come to a boil, which is good enough. That's good enough. I'm gonna add the 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Okay. To get that sauce on the side, you can use, you know, a little more water, or stick your spoon in there, whatever. I'm gonna mix it. Oh, bad habit. I said I'd use my wooden spoon. There we go. So now you see this, it's like a nice reddish, brownish color with all the vegetables, the turkey ham, and everything else, all the seasonings within the sazon. This smells so good. It's like I want to drink this by itself. But we're not going to do that because we're making beans, and we got to be patient. I'm going to let this come to a boil. Oh yeah, see? It's already coming to the boil. Let me turn it down because I just want to explain something. At this point, I'm going to add my seasonings. I don't want to add the seasonings while it's boiling and get everything thrown all over the place. So all the seasonings I showed you before, we're going to add about a tablespoon of each. Alright, so it's come to a nice boil. Off on the side there, you see? It's not like a roaring boil, but it's boiling enough. And what I did was I just mixed all my seasonings in one container here. And this is what we're going to put into this bean mixture. Do you remember what it was? It's salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, paprika, a dash of turmeric, not much, a dash of turmeric, celery seed. You also want to be careful with the celery seed because it can be overpowering. And some achiote. For some reason, I always call it achiote. I call it by the Spanish word, annatto. All right? You're going to put all of that in there. You're going to give it a nice mix. And I also forgot bay leaves. I'm going to put a couple of bay leaves in here. 2 or 3 are good. I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to give it a mix. All right? Oh, my cell phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Okay, so one of my homeboys was calling me. See this nice light boil? Now I'm going to put in the beans. I rinsed them one more time just to make sure we get all that extra salt off. I'm going to mix it. Got all my seasonings in there. Everything I like. Okay? And pardon me while I launch this. I'm going to turn up the heat to bring it up to a boil again. And once it comes up to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat, cover it, and let it cook maybe 5 minutes, and I'll take a look at it. There's something else I want to show you with this, and it has to do with the consistency of the liquid part or the gravy. Depending, you know, the restaurant or the person's house that you eat at, sometimes they'll make the liquid part of it very runny. or you can go to certain excuse me, you can eat at other places where it's more thicker, almost like a gravy. So basically what you want to do is, depending on how you like it, you're going to let this boil a little bit to see, that's too watery for me. So what I'm going to do is at a boil, but I'm going to lower it to let it cook. I'm going to bring it to a simmer. Maybe 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes. Then I'm going to take the top off, and to get the sauce a little thicker, I'm going to let it go a couple more minutes. Alright? We'll come back to it. Ooh, you see how these beans are popping? Came to a simmer, and it is nice and hot. Alright, so now, about 4 minutes have passed. Now what I'm going to do is, I want it to get a little thicker than that. So, I'm going to let it, with this light boil, go over a good 2 or 3 minutes until it's the consistency that I like. Alright? If that's what you want to do, fine. If you like it looser, fine. Alright, so I'm going to let it go like this for a good, 2-3 minutes, depending. You just check on it. Alright, I'll come back to it. Alright, so this has been going about, 5-6 minutes. And let me see if it's how I like it. I mean, everything's come together nicely. And yeah, I would say this is the thickness of the liquid part that I like. Alright, so I'm going to shut it off. And I'm going to serve it on top of some rice. It's funny, the sheen of the olive oil doesn't let you see how delicious it is. But maybe, let's see. You can come up close here. Does that help? No. There is one more thing I was going to mention. There are those that they'll slice up a small a small potato and put it in the beans, the last, 5-6 minutes of it cooking. But there's a lot of people that don't like, little pieces of potato in their beans. So I skipped the potatoes for today. If you want to do it, you wait until, you're like almost 5-6 minutes done. Cut up the potato, throw it in there, let it cook for the remaining, 5 or 6 minutes. Let them soften. If it has to go longer, that's fine. Alternatively, there's some that put calabaza. Calabaza is pumpkin. But not no Halloween pumpkin. It's a particular type of pumpkin that Caribbeans use for beans. But I skipped all of that. Alright, so let me just serve this on top of some rice so you can see how pretty it looks. Alright, so here's a plate full of my arroz blanco, white rice. And let me just serve some of the bean right on top. Put some of the gravy on there. Look how nice that looks. Of course, if you like more of the granito or of the bean, you put more of the bean. If you like more of the sauce, you put the sauce. Either way, it's going to be delicious. You can take the bay leaves out if you like, but I find it's fun to fish them out as you eat. Alright, I would serve this with tostones, salad, and like maybe a steak, a nice piece of chicken, maybe some stewed chicken or beef stew. Goes with anything really, or you can just have this like this. It's a good amount of protein. You got your seasonings in there, your vegetables, and so that's how we make our nice, delicious beans, Puerto Rican beans. You'll notice it's nice and red. I like to have the pieces of vegetable visible. You see the garlic in there. You have the pieces of ham. You know what? I'm making myself hungry, so.